Welcome to Downtime with Donnie. Your host, Nathan Downs, chats with Donnie Lockhart, a 35-plus year veteran of the fence industry. We get his feedback and opinions on fencing, construction, and everything in between. Let's join Donnie and Nathan now.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Downtime with Donnie. I'm your host, Nathan Downs. We have Mr. Lockhart in the studio. Donnie, what's up, dude?
How's everybody doing?
Oh,
another day, another dollar.
You know.
Definitely love the cold.
It's so
Don't like the rain or being wet, but I like the cold.
It was a little misty. It was very, reminded me of the Northwest of America today. Gray skies. Drizzly,
all I can think of is,
man,
they're my type of weather. I could do without the wet being wet, but there's definitely my type of weather. If I was in the woods once again, I would probably be beat. Yeah, not wet. I mean, I have rain gear or whatever that keeps you from freezing or feeling like you're drenched with water. But I'd definitely be in the woods right now.
Oh
I
yeah,
can assure you
for sure. Yeah, those deer are all out there. Laughing.
I love the cloud cover whenever it's cloud
cover.
They're
all laughing at Donnie right now.
Yeah.
He's not here.
Yeah.
So on this episode, we were talking about, of course, in our weekly shenanigans, had another interesting, actually we've had a couple pop up recently where we're getting, I don't know, this one's hard to explain, right?
Sucked in.
Yeah. I mean, essentially that's what's happening, right? Like, We were talking about this before we hit record. It's, Donnie, we're talking about doing custom things for a job to complete the project to the customer's satisfaction, but it's not even really stuff that we should necessarily have to do.
Correct.
But we're doing it more out of customer service.
And
right?
to make them happy.
And to make them happy.
You always want all your customers to be happy if you can.
But
right?
Yeah, but like in this one scenario with this gate, this one was odd. And of course, I always feel like being a young company, those of you guys that are younger companies, you're going to know we always get sucked into some stupid projects. I'm talking dumb jobs. Like Donnie has told you for forever now, everyone that's listened to this over the past year, that we do lots of custom work. All right, like we do. And that is our niche.
It's the right custom.
Right. But we also get sucked into the dumb custom, like, hey, listen, no one else will do this. And we're like, oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And we're just young enough. And I have talked to, and I told you, Donnie, I'd talked to a bunch of super successful fence companies over the summer, all over the country. And I'm talking well on way where we want to be. I'm,
on it.
8-figure companies that have just blown up over time, family, decades and decades of, just success. And
do they have as many companies in the same town as us?
Some of them do. Yeah, some of them do. But they've just stood out above the rest. And I keep going back to this one guy in particular. He's in his 70s. And he told me, he's like, I never passed up one job. And I'm like, oh. And it was right at the point where you and I were talking about, we're telling all these people we ain't doing this. Right. Like, we're saying no. And I'm like, yes, we need to say no. But then he came in and said that. And I'm like, really? And he goes, you know what it's going to cost. You're afraid to give someone some astronomical cost because you're just afraid. You don't want to look bad or perceptively. And I'm like, that's true. So that's true. I understand. I see what he's saying. But then he's like, but at some point you'll figure out that when you do this and you present these things, and maybe it's only, $1,000 of actual work or something, but you put $2,000 on it knowing you really don't want to do it. But you also turn to the customer and say, listen, I understand it is going to be a huge pain in our butt. I'm really not sure the grand scope, but here's what I'm thinking. Worst case scenario, this is what it's going to be.
Right.
And then just hold to that and see what happens. And he said he had done jobs like that for a couple $1,000 and given them back money because he's like, okay, we killed it. Like it was super easy. But he's like, but he always set up that expectation of, the work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and I'm like, man, that's really smart. And it's so hard because of the way things are today, like this gate situation. Gentleman buys our Facebook marketplace, as is gate.
A good deal.
A great deal.
Yeah.
Right? A fifth of the price of the cost of the gate is what I was selling it for. I was just
It was ridiculous. What he
I
got
was
it for.
trying to just get rid of it, and I was hoping another fence company would buy it.
Right.
And 30 of y'all in Tulsa liked the post.
Yeah.
And it was all, and I went through and looked who liked the post. It was all a bunch of fence guys, but no one bought it. So when this cat finally came along and it fit, as you saw, I was like, oh man.
Which
like,
even though
really,
for him, if just so everybody gets so the customer actually said we did measure it. So I did get that comment out of him, and it's like, looks like
he said we didn't measure it.
Yeah, that he don't think you measured it.
Oh, well, whatever.
And I'm like, well,
I
definitely fit.
I measured it. I knew what it was. Like, I mean, it matches what he had before, right? He had the little panel next to the thing. And
no. It looks like a normal gate would be put across there, other than his driveway.
Right. Well, and then here is what happened. So you go ahead, Donnie. Tell him what happened.
So we actually sold the gate as is. It's perfectly straight, square gate.
6 foot tall.
Yeah, 6 foot tall, cap and trim, steel frame.
Yep.
On a 6-inch steel post with barrel hinges and so on and so on. So it goes out and you install it, but his driveway basically goes from, there at the house where we're 1 or 2 inches off the ground with the gate. And of course, these gates got to hang level, correct? Because they're heavy.
Yeah. And the gate,
and then we
again,
come
this
away
is
from the house.
as is. So it's already built.
Right.
It's not a racked gate. It's a straight gate.
And yet his driveway drops 12 inches.
Yeah.
As the gate goes across it. So now we've got a 12-inch gap, right?
Yep.
And the customer's going, well, this is not going to work. That's not going to work. And I'm going, okay, how do you fix this? And I think we came up with some different ideas, like we was talking about. And even the customer made the comment of changing out the 8-foot pickets. And I'm like, well, that's going to look crappy too.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see going and having a big gap and then having a V where it drops down and it closes the gap off at the far end, because it's 10 and a half inches gap at least, versus now, okay, it's 4 inches in the middle, but it's got this V in the middle,
right
at the bottom of the fence. I was like, no, that's not going to work neither. And we kept on thinking about these things. And I think it was Randy that came up with the idea on the bigger board.
The trim, I think so.
And so we ended up doing a 12-inch board.
Yeah, 1 by 12.
Right. And then we custom cut it from the 10. Actually, by the time you bolted in, I had 10 and a half inches I had to close. I actually gave him a 4-inch gap, I think. So I actually only dropped the board.
It doesn't.
It
It looks a lot closer than that. I mean, it looked clean.
And
so we made a trapezoid out of it.
We
essentially,
did.
right? Like where the top's level and the bottom.
And I get
follows great.
compliments on the gate. We took the pictures. I got people that said, "Hell, the gate looks good." And of course, in the back of my head, I'm just going, "It does."
It looks good.
It don't look good to me.
And this.
And the reason that the reason why it doesn't look good to me, because it's just does not fit the fence.
Right.
It serves the purpose of the customer.
Sure.
Is the only thing we were doing it for. And we did it fairly cheap, if you want to get technical. And we really did do that part of it cheap for the stuff that I actually put into it, right? So I actually bolted 2x4s on to extend the pickets down so the board has something to support it. And so it took me a little bit of time to do that, and spend the custom deal for me to make those 2x4s up to fit the fence. For the price that we gave him, he got a pretty good deal out of it.
Yeah.
Of course, we did that. Why? Because we finished the rest of his fence on the front, which is the 1 foot on the house side where the gate is that should have been done to begin with. And the customer should have just had it done then. And the other side of the gate should have all been done at the same time anyways.
There was like another 22 feet from where the gate was that we didn't do. And I bid it originally and was like, dude, you need to replace all of it. And they were adamant. We just want to do the gate. Yeah. Everything else is used. Do the gate. And then, of course, this comes back to what we're talking about, the customer service. We get into it and they hate everything. And I go, well, of course you do. I mean, you bought a giant used gate for
thinking that it was going to go 12 inches uphill.
Right. A third of the price of what it is. And to be fair, he didn't think about it because he's not a fence builder.
Right.
And this is one of those times, even I make mistakes. I shock myself sometimes with these because I'm always seeing that stuff, but I never even thought about the stupid gap. You know why, Donnie? Because it's as is. I did not care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get the damn gate out.
Up.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, this thing he's got 15 feet from the dirt to the house. I've got a 14-foot gate.
Right.
You can buy this gate for cheap. And he's like, really? And I gave him the price. He goes, I'll sign it now. I'm like, okay, good. We don't want this gate
because
anyways.
he knew that he was getting a cheap price.
Yeah, and I told him.
You can't even build a walk gate for the price we sold it to him for.
I mean, it's crazy. But the point being, it helped us get rid of it.
Right.
But
and
then
recoup some of the material costs out of it.
But then we're sitting there holding the bag going, right. You and I had a couple conversations about trying to figure out, is the customer going to pay, and he's telling Donnie, you go out there because I wouldn't go back. Like
right.
you knew, Donnie knew I was upset because I was in the office screaming about it. Going, he bought an as-is gate. I don't freaking care if the thing, it looks like King Kong gate flying in the sky. It's as is. I put it directly on the estimate and the invoice, to which then I printed it out and handed it to Donnie. And then you read it and you said, oh, you did. Like, I mean, It was clear as day that we're not, like, I was letting him know, we are only doing this, and the rest of it is not our problem.
And in his defense, so just like yours, so the reason why not just the fact that you didn't go back out because you had needed somebody to deal with the customer to make him understand, not only are we not going to do those things unless you agree to sign another contract for the extra work for us to make you happy, right? But as is, that's the reason why I took the contract with me, is like, no. You may not have understood it, and Nathan may not have explained to you that there's a 12-inch drop or whatever, but you knew it was square. I mean, what did you think that the fence was going to go? I mean, I get it. The customer's not a fence builder, and he's young, too. You got to remember he's young.
Sure.
But did it look like that in the picture when you looked at it online? Did it look like your driveway? It did not.
No.
So he knew what he was getting. Right? He knew that was going to be hanging square, not custom 12-inch drop on the gate.
Yep.
I mean, come on. And somehow you got suckered into setting the gate for him and everything else instead of just selling the gate. Let him worry about how to get the post in and all that stuff. And
right, because originally that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
I just was like, I was giving him referrals.
Come pick up the gate.
Yeah,
bud.
come pick up the gate. You could get Joe Blow. Hey, there's 200 of you fence dudes in town.
Yeah.
There's got to be someone else that wants to put this in. And then lo and behold, surprisingly, all the fence companies in town, no one has the capability or the right tools to do it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean,
or the I guarantee you want me to tell you what they told him? Oh, I can't warranty somebody else's job. He knows as well as I do with that. That's
I don't
exactly
blame him
what
for
I
that.
said.
They've been listening to our show too much.
But the thing of it is and like I said, he was just young. He was
sure, and
he doesn't know neither. Yep. And I think the more me and him talked, and I tried to explain to him that I just flat out told him, I said, dude, it was as is.
Yeah.
Whether Nathan would have told you this was a 12-inch drop on this side, and we still couldn't have changed that, right? Yeah. It still would have come out the way it is. Do you have a nice gate? Yeah, you do. Do you want us to make it look better? I can. But even the customer was saying, well, we're going to be replacing that driveway. There actually is, because the reason it slopes is because it's gradually washed away underneath it, and the driveway itself is settled down in the corner. And even he said that. And I'm like, okay, well, then let's work out a deal here. What do you expect from me? I'll do whatever if you want to just pay for the stuff for me to get it done, I'm willing to, do the labor part. But I can't eat the cost of the things that you're wanting me to do for me to make you happy. And we did. I did the labor for free. We didn't charge for the labor.
No, we didn't.
We basically charged for the materials.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was just something for us to save face and to say, hey, look, we get it. We do. It may not have been brought up to you. It may not have been thought of at the time. And we agree. 12 inches is a lot of gate.
This one showed where the customer. So this is something probably pretty important for a lot of people to hear, because one of the reasons that I took myself out of the equation was because I was upset because I saw the writing on the wall, the way that conversation was going.
Right.
Right. So you knew I was not happy and I was furious about the whole thing. And then I turned to you and said, you go talk to him. Because if I go talk to him, we're going to get in fisticuffs, or I'm going to scream in his face or do something stupid, right? Because I'm just like, dude, I just can't. I don't have the bandwidth to deal with your stupidity because you decide that you don't want to pay the thousands and thousands of dollars to do it the right way.
Right.
Where you buy a custom, but then your expectations are, well, I want the custom finish.
Yeah,
well, then if you wanted that,
like it was if we would have built it, custom to your fence.
But like what you did, and this is just an advantage of having multiple people with experience and stuff in the organization too. But bringing a fresh face in and, you coming in and being able to be like, hey, and that's why I printed the estimate and the invoice too. So you knew you had your own interpretation of the situation. Right. So you were also able to, hey, I see what you're saying. You're doing the feel, felt, found that we use in sales, telling someone how you understand how they feel. You felt the same way, but here's what I found. And that's kind of what you did. Hey, right. I see why you're upset. That's a big gap. I'd feel the same way, but here, the same thing. What I found was when I looked at your estimate that you signed, it says as is. And Nathan very clearly said, we are not doing nothing. We're literally putting in the post, giving you new hinges and hanging an existing gate. And that's it. Right. Whatever. And however it finishes is how it finishes. Now we need to make it functional and da-da-da.
Right.
But like the slope and all that, and in doing that, it was something that not everybody has that chance to be able to leverage that. But I think that made the situation turn a lot better. Right. Because you were able to come in as a fresh face and be like, cool.
And it helps for you to come up with the idea to help solve the problem before you say, hey, it's going to cost you though.
Right.
Right. And it does help the fact that we didn't charge for the labor, right? Because if we'd add my labor into it, he would have probably balked about it.
Right.
But by us just saying, hey, you cover the materials, I'll spend the labor on it, and we'll try to make you happy and give you what you want. And it set off everything. And what did we end up doing? We ended up making more money off the job.
Exactly. So that's what I was just going to go into next, because then we end up doing the fence panel, the adjacent fence line that I wanted to do anyways. So what did that do? Same price as it was before. That profit mitigates some of the losses off the other side. Again, now we have something, as we just looked at the pictures before we got on the podcast here.
And I'm going to follow up. I'll follow up with him tomorrow.
Good.
We probably need to do that.
Yeah. But it looks good from the pictures the guys took in company cam. Donnie's laughing because I think it looks great for what it is. It still is a gate that was perfectly straight, that's been customized to that pretty drastic, drop off in his driveway. But the rest of the fence, how they tapered it down, it's stepped, they trimmed it off. I mean, it looks so much better.
It definitely looks better than having the gap underneath it, right? So I can admit that. I just can't go so for me, when I'm standing there looking at the gate and I'm done and I'm packing my stuff up and I'm leaving, I'm going, oh my God, this looks like crap. Now, it really doesn't look like crap, but it's just not standard. It's just not something that you do to a gate. So for me, it was like, okay, I'll go do this. I'll go do it. I'll go do what the customer wants. Even though in my mind, I'm going, it's not going to be right. It's not going to be right. I'm making boards for this that I shouldn't be making because that's the only way we can put it in. And like I said, it definitely is better than having the gap under there for the customer and for the money that he spent for the job. He got a hell of a deal, right?
Yep.
And he's happy. I'm hoping he's happy. I mean, like I said, I need to follow up with him and tomorrow and talk to him and make sure that everything's okay with him on his side, and then we can send that. I'm assuming we send out a bill already.
Oh yeah.
So
or when we leave the studio, I'm sending the bill.
Yeah, yeah. I would probably, if it was me, I'd wait till tomorrow. Let me see if I can get a hold of it in the morning.
Sure.
And we'll send it out after that.
That's fine. Yeah.
You know?
No, I just think we did the right thing. We harp on that. And I hope especially you young guys listen to what we're talking about, because like it is so easy in this situation. Like you saw me. I mean, I'm telling you, like Donnie, you can corroborate that this is a factual statement. Was I upset when you immediately told me what he was harping back about the gap?
Right.
What did I say?
Yeah, that it was as is. And that he was told as is.
Yeah.
Over and over again. He knew that he was buying the gate just like it is, and he knew he was getting a great deal.
Right.
I mean,
right.
even he admitted to me when I first got there, he's like,
Sure.
look, man, I get it. I got a good deal on this gate. He goes, I know this. I said, no, you got a great deal on this gate.
Yeah.
And, we didn't go into the details together, but I just started talking to him about, here's your options. And he mentioned the 8-foot pickets of going, halfway back on the gate and using 8-foot pickets. And I thought, no, that's not the answer. I just shot him down immediately. It's like, no, that's not the answer. I told Nate that wasn't the answer too. This is the only option you have, which is what we did, and I was just going to use a 6-inch picket, right, and close off some more of the gap. And then it came to the fact that when Randy got involved in it, he's like, well, man, you could use a bigger board down there, and that's what we ended up doing, going to a 12-inch board on it.
Yep.
So it was a better idea than doing
good.
the 6, because you're still going to end up with a friggin', 7-inch gap underneath one side. And now he's living with about a 2.5, 3-inch gap across the fence.
Yeah.
livable.
Massive change. Sure.
I mean, across concrete anyways. I mean, that's livable. It's definitely better than what he would have had if we hadn't spent the extra time on it. Thank God he wanted to do the rest of the fence, because it would have made it even worse if he hadn't done the rest of the fence.
Oh my gosh.
It would have still stood out so bad.
That picture from the beginning of the week when it was trimmed and the rest of the fence was still the old gray fence, I was just like, oh my God.
And of course, we replaced the trim on it
terrible.
and went to a 6-inch trim at the top to make it, somewhat match that bottom board.
Yeah.
And I think it looked good. Even the rest of the fence, when I had the guys trim out the rest of the fence with a 6-inch board, it turned out okay.
Yeah, something different. But like I said, we got our sign on it. It looks cool.
Yeah.
It's a great gate. I mean, it's an unbelievable deal, even after adding a couple $1,000 in additional work.
Right.
That he needed.
That
he should have done originally.
He should have.
Right?
When we put the gate in, you should have.
So,
especially the 1 foot by the house.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That definitely should have got done, no matter what. That's part of the front.
Yeah.
But and I think they were just trying to not spend so much money right now.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he had the money. He just wasn't wanting to spend the money right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, man.
I think when you call him tomorrow, I'd be interested for you to let everyone know down the road, hey, custom gate guy, custom as is gate guy, how that wraps up. Because, I mean, like I said, when we just reviewed the pictures and the guys took 6 or 7 pictures, different angles and stuff, I mean, it is like a massive improvement. I mean, it makes everything look better around there. And it's a nice house. It's a nice, large house in South Tulsa. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason it doesn't, like the dilapidated, crappy ass fence that they had before.
Oh, it was rotted.
There's no reason for that, right? Like, it's how it should be.
Yeah.
So,
and I think a lot of it came to, he's, like I said, he was a young customer. He's a younger kid, I would say, in his, maybe mid-20s.
Yeah, mid-20s.
Late 20s at the most.
Mid-20s.
And, I think probably me and him hit it off pretty well as far as, our conversation with each other. I tried to let him know, look, I'll try to help you as much as I can. I'll try to take care of you as much as I can, but I have a limit. You bought as is. Let's just get that straight. You bought as is. We're definitely trying to, work with you, but you can't expect us to eat the cost and make this gate custom just to close off your gap. It has nothing to do with radius. And, I think he was more than reasonable about the whole thing. And then as we kept talking about the fact that, okay, well, I'm going to make it look better, but what about the rest of the crap around it? And then that's whenever he's like, I think we probably need to do that too. So because you're right, it's still going to stand out. It's still going to look bad if we don't do the rest of the fence.
Yeah.
And that's what led to him saying, well, tell Nate to give me another quote on doing 6 foot and 8 foot on this. And we gave him a bid and he went with 6 foot, which I recommended 6 foot to him whenever I was there. It's like, man, I wouldn't do the 8 foot taper all the way across here. I would just do a stair step. And I think that's probably why he went to 6 foot.
It was all good.
He's a good guy. And you know, it definitely didn't help him telling me what he does this time of season, because this is something that I started in this city. Me and my brother-in-law actually started the business here, which is installing Christmas lights for homeowners and businesses, right? So when we started, nobody was doing it. We actually, the only signs that were out on the streets was just mine and his, and it was like gold, basically. I mean, I can remember Tim almost $200,000 for 45 days of work that he made off that. Just putting Christmas lights up 45 days. Right? So, and then it got more and more competitive. You had lawn services getting into it. You're doing it by the hour and stuff like that. But he was telling me, no, we do it by the job. Like, you know, we used to do.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it was great, man. Until you had people trying to charge an hour. And I explained to him one time, I said, you know, I pulled up by myself whenever it was my company. I started my own here when Tim got out of it. And I said, I pulled up next to a crew. There was a lawn service. There's 3 guys on it. They left for lunch. And I just pulled up when they were leaving for lunch. My house is twice the size of their house. They've been there all morning. I put my lights up. Before they got back from lunch, I was gone.
Yeah.
And yet, the customer across the street, that was one of my own clients that went with the hourly crew. So you get what you paid for, right?
Yep.
I mean, if you have somebody that does a great job on your home and does something really good and gives you a good job, okay. If you want to go with the cheaper one, then, but don't expect to get something for nothing, right? You're still paying the same price, or you're getting a crappy job.
Yep.
Plain and simple. Always have somebody that if they do a good job, they're the people you need to go to. The majority of the time, if you just running your risk, if you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Once you find those people, right? I mean, is there just no difference than some of the people that we work for, Tom's, rest of them? There's a reason why they're going to one place. There's a reason why. It ain't always the price. It's the fact, okay, what's he do for me?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
What does he do for my customers?
Yep.
Whatever they want.
Right.
And we do.
Yep. It's true.
I mean, we do. That's a good company to work for. It's a good company that you have for contact. So
sure. So that man, that's good. That's good. There's not a lot. There's really nothing we need to.
We don't turn down that many jobs.
We don't turn down enough jobs.
You know, so like, I mean, for people where you know, he says the guy that you're talking about says he never turns away a job. Man, I haven't seen a whole lot of jobs that you turn away.
Right. No, it's true. Well, like I said, that goes back to what I was told a couple months ago, right? Like sitting there going, oh, yeah. I mean, I was starting to get the other way. I was starting to get how people on social media talk about, you know, like, oh, man, we're, you know, maybe thinking too high of ourselves to be like, we're not, we're above that. We're not that, you know,
right.
Or whatever, getting that attitude.
So the only time that I can see turning something down on our end is if you don't have the experience to install it. Right. Then you're just, okay, well, you're looking for problems now.
Well, and that happened the other day with a lady that wanted some field fence, but she wants chain link everywhere else. And I'm just looking at her and go, ma'am, you don't want us to just, I mean, we can, but like, just do the chain link. And then, so what I ended up doing was the section of chain link that she wanted to add was like 150 feet. I was like, listen, I'll sell it to you like at cost just to not have to jack with it.
Right.
Cause I'm like, well, I'm sitting there thinking, well, how much was the rest of the yard? 1,000 feet. Like, and you want me to save money? You want me to do, I will hook you up.
Right.
To not have to do field fence over there. You know, and the field fence guys listening to this are cracking up. They're like, oh my gosh, you weenies. And I'm like, but that's not what we're set up for. We don't do it. Like, we can, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even have T-posts. We got to freaking go down to Glenpool and Tractor Supply.
Even though we have a driver now.
I mean, that's good. Like, I mean, we can. I didn't say we couldn't. I'm just saying it's not what we do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's it's out of this standard that we
do. And then I want to charge more because now I have to send Donnie to hold their freaking hands.
So that's the thing that the guy was talking about, though.
Yes.
Is okay.
Right.
bid it to where you can know that you can figure out a way to get it done, right? So you could throw the money out there to somebody that does know what they're doing and say, hey, man, I'll pay you this to do this.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's going, oh, yeah, hell yeah, I'll go do that.
I'll do it. Yeah.
And that's where you have to make those decisions, right? And those are hard to make. You can't do that. Not everybody can make those decisions in your company, by the way. So you have to have communication also, by the way.
But I think
between everybody.
The one way, though, we can set everyone up for success in our companies to do that, though, is if you understand what things cost, and then what is the purpose of the business, how we want to profit.
Right.
Right. Like, so even you, if I gave you some things, like you have a rough enough idea of like, you know what I'm saying, without getting into the numbers on here, but like, profit margin enough. And we've talked about some things that you could come up in about 2 seconds with your phone and figure it out. Well, this is probably going to cost about $1,500 and okay, bam, this is the cost.
Right.
And you could tell someone.
So, I generally just tell them a figure, between the probably midway to the high end or a little above the high end, and just let them know, hey, look, I can put the numbers down. Just give me the time. I'll find the numbers, and I can find the numbers regardless. Just like we talked about, we go off what numbers you put in the computer, right?
Right. Sure.
I could sit down and figure them up. I've done these. I can call around and get the pricings of all the stuff and all the materials, and then I can figure out the percentage you go on this and what it should be for a profit, a little extra profit for the company. I've done all that, just not had to do any of that anytime in the near past future or near future. It's always been input in the computer. It's always there. It's always for you to be able to pull up most of the time since I've been doing sales. But I've done my own work before. I mean, I know how it works. I know how the companies around here do it the majority of the time. And I know at one time, they actually do it a little bit more. They actually make a little more money than what they used to make, right?
Sure.
Because I guarantee 100%, every company here, whatever the material cost was, they just doubled the price. Guaranteed. Every company here, that's exactly how they did their fence bidding.
They were still doing that 10 years ago.
Yeah. I just know that's, and it made it easy to figure.
Sure.
Right? Because you just get all your materials cost.
The first thing when I came into it, I was working up costing with Cliff, and I'm over at Aero Fence and Cliff's showing me, and he's looking at me and I'm like, man, is there a fast way to do this? He said, I go,
yeah.
I said, I feel like you're about to tell me the way that you do it, and I'm going to look at you and think less of you. And he laughed and he goes, I just double the materials. I'm like, bro, what? And I was already showing him like, you can't do that. And I was like, I mean, you can, but then
you can with a good crew.
Well, that's true.
You can.
But there's too many variables that doesn't take into account, right, all the different things that you're running into. What type of materials? How much do your materials cost? Hey, during COVID, when we didn't have any materials and prices skyrocketed, you double your materials. Yeah, you didn't sell nothing, right? Or if you double,
break even,
or if you doubled your materials, if you doubled your materials, you sold everything and then you didn't make any money. And then so again, you can't just go off of those. That's an old fencer's way of looking at it. I have talked to
many people still doing it, evidently.
Right? Like, we have talked to a lot of people that I think still do that to this day.
I have no doubt they do.
I don't get it, man.
And I think, what are we doing? 15%?
15% what?
On top of that? On what, if you doubled it, you'd add another 15% on top of that, correct?
I mean, that's not how we get there, but
I know, but it's going to average out to somewhere around there.
It's 15 to 25% above that typically. Right. Yeah.
And that's probably 100%. I have no doubt that 100%, that's probably the right way to do it. To be, the margin should be a little bit higher than what it is.
So the right way to do it, and what Donnie's actually just said, it's not a 15% margin. He's talking about 15% higher than doubling materials.
Right.
It is about, in very often.
So it would work out to be 65%.
That's what I'm saying. But very often that is very close, 65, 75, 80% than if you would have done it the other way. But the right way to do it, what everyone should know, the right way to do it is figure out what your cost of goods sold is. what do your materials cost? What is my actual direct labor cost? Then know what your overhead is. Like, what does it cost to do business every single day?
Right.
And then how much profit do I want to make? So what's my profit margin? Like, what do I actually want to take home at the end of the day? So you add those 4 things together and that gives you your sale price. Now, if that just happens to work out in the numbers, it very often does. But you should never as a contractor use hard rule of thumbs. I would say get a freaking spreadsheet, do something, do some math where you're adding up all these things. I mean, you see me do it every day still. If I'm not in a spreadsheet or I'm doing something custom, I'll add the materials. I'll figure out what I want to pay for labor. I'll do all these things. Then I add the profit, and then that's the price. And it's just what it is.
So, and that's kind of how I did things to some degree. And I'm not saying I didn't use the double on it, but I didn't pay my labor any more than this amount, so that I made sure that I made this amount. So, and it was always, 30%.
Yeah.
So I've told you this several times. So it was 30%, 30%, and 40%.
Yeah.
Company makes 40%. Your help makes 30, because I actually built the jobs most of the time. I did have a couple crews that run under me for about 3 weeks before I got my tools back from them and said, you won't make it a week. They didn't even make it the week. So, you got to be disciplined with your money when you're in business for yourself. You definitely can't just go out and just blow it all off and then expect to make it for the next month whenever you pull a job that's going to require you to at least get something done before you can get paid.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize that. So here we are now. You started a job, but it's going to be 2 weeks before you can actually get paid because you ain't gonna have nothing done for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. So they didn't even make it the week. Like I said, once I grabbed my tools from them, anyways, they didn't make it that long.
Yeah.
For one, they didn't have none of their own tools. Even after chasing it down for a month and then making money with my tools, they still didn't have their own tools or the money to go buy them. But those things for me, it was always, and this is the same thing that I talk to our guys and our contractors about now. It's like, you guys pay what for your help? Well, you pay $250 a day regardless of what they build. And I'm going, that's just crazy, dude. That'd make no sense to me whatsoever. I get $250. I'll just come to work for you.
Right.
And then I'll just,
tell me
whatever
what to do,
happens,
bro.
whatever happens. If you give me a full day, then fine. But otherwise, I'm getting $250 no matter what. That's just not how for me, that wasn't one of those deals. And I think we got through to one of the guys.
Yeah.
And of course, it caused us to suffer more because now the guy's not doing as good of work. But still, he switched his guy over. He's like, hey, I'm paying you way too much.
Right.
You're taking 2 days to do this. I'm paying you $500, and yet you should be doing this in a day.
Right.
Right. And I get it, but that doesn't mean your work slacks, right?
At least they sped up.
Yeah, they speeded up on the job, but their work's lacking.
Right.
Now it went from being a pretty good work to where now, okay, I'm having nothing but problems out of every job. You're not doing everything. You're not finishing it. Like leaving a cap off the post and then just sticking it behind the post because you forgot it. That kind of stuff.
That one was brutal.
Those kind of things, you definitely want to be on my bad side. Let those things come across my table where I'm going, you're serious. You're sending me over there to put the cap on the post because he didn't want to spend the time to put the cap on the post.
Yeah.
Even though he put the cap behind the post for it to be put on the fence. No, you should have not left my job. 100% should have never left my job until you actually put that cap in.
Right.
It's kind of like going back to where you're out on the job. And this is another issue I have with some of the guys. You're out on the job and you've got one line left. Just the one line, or maybe the 2 fronts or something like that, and it's 6 o'clock. Do you pull off the job? Or do you spend the next hour and finish your fronts and then pull off the job? Because if you give me the answer that says that you had 2 fronts or you had 50 feet on the back line to go do, and you left the job knowing that there's enough daylight time left for you to finish that, and you not have to make the drive time back over to the job, well, you're screwing me. Sure. I mean, you're just outright just screwing. And I don't feel you should be kept. I definitely don't feel you're a good contractor or a good employee anytime you're doing that. And I get it with the employees, right? They don't have to put the 8 hours in. But no employer I've ever worked for, if you came in and you left just the front, which this was going on somewhere here not too long ago, and you left the front off because it hit 5 o'clock and you shut down and left.
Right.
That's not how it's done in the fence business. at 5 o'clock and you still have a front to do, guess what? You're going to stay past 5 and finish the front. Don't tell me you got to go back out there the next day. Kind of like me today, right? So we had this same scenario, and I'm old. Yep. So I worked in the rain today.
Said I'm old.
Went out and did a repair. Got all the things except for one post done, and I called and basically said, "Look, I'm soaked to the bone. I got the one post left. I'll get to this tomorrow." Now, keep in mind, this is not 30 miles across town neither.
Yeah.
This is right here by the shop. I go by it all the time.
Away.
Yeah. So, and the customer's the same thing. The customer's going, well, no, that's fine. I didn't expect you to be here when it was raining and you be soaked. And I was wearing a jacket and everything, and everything, boots, everything was soaked. And I'm like, okay, I've had enough. I've had enough of this. And of course, I knew that I could go do it tomorrow too. So, but if it would have been in Pryor, or if it would have been in Owasso, or if it would have been in Sand Springs or whatever, I would have sat out there probably bitching and moaning that I'm just having to do another post, which I did dig by the post, by the way, and it's a foot down in the ground, and it's 12-inch piece of concrete on it too. So I hope it breaks away a lot easier than this one, because the one that I'm talking about, somebody already redone.
That's why the footer's so big.
Yeah, because he threw all the concrete. I told her the same thing whenever I called her. I said, now, keep in mind, mine's even bigger because I just put all that concrete back in and threw a bag of concrete on top of that.
It's got a little pole with
but mine is the
1,000-pound
farm fence
footer.
pole.
Oh, okay.
So there ain't going to be no rot in a year.
Yeah, right.
That's who installed this last one, put a regular round rail post in. It rotted off in the first year and a half, he said. So I didn't put that in. Now I am going to put one of those in, but it's because he has round rail. Right.
It's funny.
But it's one of those things. So when you're doing customizing, I get the customizing thing. I'm one of those guys that when you throw something out of the ordinary, and especially a custom board like what we're talking about that we spent, it cost what, $80 for the board?
Yeah, $80-$90.
Okay, it looks better than the fence.
Right. Well,
right. I mean, if you look at the board, it looks really great.
Yeah, it's like a number one.
Yeah.
S1, S2E, Western Red Series. Yeah, I know, right?
So it's just out
at
of
least
the
with the
ordinary.
rough side out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff, dude. Well, hopefully you guys left with some nuggets. Don't forget, Donnie already wrapped it up, put a bow on it. Don't forget to check out our friends over at Ozark Wireworks, Mr. Joe Everest, www.ozarkwireworks.com.
Don't be like Donnie and don't go to his website. I actually haven't seen his website yet. I've been meaning to go there.
Yes.
There's so many things going on, and between work and family and stuff.
Sure.
Probably for me, it's
just makes me happy that you still haven't gone to his website.
So,
and we get to keep talking about this every week.
Yeah, because I definitely want to go there. I definitely want to see what he's got. I know there's a few things on there I'm going to need that I could use here.
We need to go up there.
That nobody will know what it is.
Hey, you know what we need to do? We need to do downtime with Donnie from inside the shop while the machines are weaving. So it's like,
and have Joe with us
in the background, and we're like, Joe, Joe.
Yeah.
Man, these people.
I'd love to go see his place.
Sucks.
And see his operation.
Yeah, we're gonna head up there. I'm hoping his new line comes in soon, so that would be a great time to
on it.
Have him running 2 machines. We'll get some video of him act like standing on top of him or something while the machine's going, OSHA. So anyways.
Get him in trouble?
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you next week. Peace.
I'm out.
Thanks for taking a little downtime with Donnie and Nathan. The opinions and comments on this show are of the participants only and do not reflect that of its sponsors or partners. For more content and information about Radius, visit www.protectingyourradius.com. Give us a like, share this online, and look for us back real soon.